saying men should be dangerous. By dangerous, that implies I should be ready to threaten someone, to hurt somebody.
No, you should be capable of it. There's nothing to you otherwise.
Welcome to the Dangerous Man Podcast, where we talk about how to become a better man, take responsibility for our mission, create value for others, and the many failures and lessons we've learned along the way. Stay dangerous.
Welcome to the Dangerous Man. I'm your host, Adam Thooft, joined by co-host
John Kostohris.
What is up, John?
Currently the ceiling, but
I really hope it's not the floor.
But
wait, actually, it is the floor because we're in the basement.
Above. Oh my gosh, the floor of the upstairs.
The floor is above us. Wow.
You know, like in the Lego movie, if you've seen it, it's like the man upstairs was like God, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like the man upstairs. Anyways, that's the floor the man upstairs walks on. Is
it's
our
literally
ceiling.
just the dad.
It's just the dad. It is, yeah. That, you know, the first time I saw that movie, Adam, I think I was with you and a bunch of other buddies, and we were just starting to play this card game called Bang, which is like a Wild Western, shoot 'em, gunslinging, like. Anyways, and we were like, let's play this game, and we circled up, and we threw on a movie in the background. We're like, we should do a movie. One guy was like, we should do the Lego movie, and I was like, that sounds gay.
But the Lego movie,
like,
we're not children. We were like probably in high school.
We were in high school. But we threw it on, dude, and I guarantee you, within about a minute and a half of it starting, everybody, maybe give it like 2 or 3 minutes. Every guy was like completely forgot they were playing this card game and sucked into the movie. Like it was just such a good intro, and the story, it was a monster hook, dude. And like the whole movie was just hilarious. The humor was like top notch. I'm like, this might be one of the best movies I've ever seen. The Lego movie. Yeah, so funny.
Top 5 all time?
Yeah, man. Just it really is top 5 all time. It was you know, you might be like, John, whatever, dude, like the Lego movie. I'm serious. Like it was just so funny. Yeah. The actors they have in that movie are like Morgan Freeman and like Chris Pratt, and like, dude, they're just like literally like firing off the hip with witty like comments the whole time. I'm like, this is amazing. Yeah. But you know, a little cheesy too, but just so funny.
But like it's Legos, so it's like it's not going to be serious,
right? And somehow it still makes you cry because the storyline just gets like really good. You're like, I'm so invested in this.
Wow, I feel like I'm being brought back to my childhood.
Yeah.
Wow, it reminds me of the time where I like learned how to save money because I saved up like $50 to buy like an Imperial shuttle like Star Wars like Lego set. And that was like the first time. That was the first time I ever like learned how to save money. Otherwise, I'd be like, I'm gonna spend my allowance and all the other random change I get on candy.
I was really gonna say candy. Jawbreakers and nerds.
Because all I can think about as a child is instant gratification.
Sugar, euphorium. We might as well just had an IV in our arm.
An IV of straight sugar. Oh my gosh. We used to joke that my older brother didn't have a sugar tooth. He had sugar teeth. The man would like have toast and like pour sugar on the
Oh my Lanta.
The absolute like diabetic amounts of like sugar we get up to is just insane.
Oh my. Is he a diabetic? No, he's a child. Oh my gosh. So good, dude. Anyways, things and stuff, Lego movie.
But anyway, like learning how to save money for that like Lego set and like that decision to do that allowed me to like, I feel like that was like the first time I started to understand like delayed gratification.
Dang.
And being like, oh, I don't have to just spend all of my money at one time. And like, it was crazy because I remember getting like to the point where I had like $20, $30, $40. I'm like, I have so much money now because I was like a kid, but like, has never had a job or anything like that. $40 is also, this is like a little while ago. So like
when your allowance is like 50 cents, $50 is like a ton. Unreal.
And the thing is like this $50 Lego set now is probably worth like $150 or something.
Wow.
Because that's just how much more expensive Legos have gotten.
Because of inflation.
Yeah.
Inflammation. Oh my. I'm quoting from a funny video.
Yeah, but
Oh my
like learning
gosh.
how to like delay that gratification, actually like have that time of like, oh, I can actually like save my money.
I can.
Wow. And then I get the thing that I want, and it's really cool. And my older brother, the the one that has sugar teeth, is
Mhm.
like, this is really cool. And like him finding it something that I got to be really cool was awesome, because usually I was just the one that was always thinking that everything he had was cool.
It's kind of the classic youngest child.
Yeah.
I heard some talk about this
Youngest
recently.
versus oldest child. Yeah.
When they get something cool, it's like unheard of.
Yeah.
And everybody's jealous of them. It's like, I have power.
Yeah.
Finally.
It's like, I have power.
Yeah, when you fall last in the pecking line, it's like the pecking order. When you do have something to kind of flex or boast, it's like, this
It's
feels
like,
unlimited power.
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
from like Star Wars,
Yeah.
Darth Sidious. Just,
Yeah.
oh man.
But hey, I mean-
you know, you did ask,
Yeah.
you know, to bring us full circle, you asked what was above well, you asked what was above me,
Yeah.
what's up, and I said the ceiling. Well, above that is literally the sky, and I just want to remind everybody out there, the sky is the limit on your dreams. Don't let your dreams be dreams. There is nothing holding you back, and we're going to talk about
Yeah.
that today.
Yeah. I mean, even the sky's not even your limit. You can go to outer space, dude.
You're right. We're in other like dimensions by now, right? It's 2024.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Just go to freaking Mars and I don't know, Alpha Centauri or something. I don't know.
Some parallel universe. Wow. I don't know how we got here talking about space, but
I think it just happened because we were talking about like Legos and
Star Wars
and Star Wars
in
and
life, you know.
and diabetes.
You know, I usually talk about space when I get into a diabetic conversation.
This talks about, this reminds me of like, we have some of our like our random preamble, like me and John kind of joke around a little bit before we hit record.
Yeah.
So
Is
that's
it-
you're getting a little bit of sample of that. If you want more of that, you can you know, just pay the limited time offer of just
one time.
one time offer, just one payment of $300 a month. Okay,
And
that's
you get
all
our
we're asking.
exclusive behind the scenes content.
Exclusive behind the scenes content. Okay, a one time payment of only $300 a month. Okay.
Okay.
It's a bunch. And if you call the next 15 minutes, you get two. Okay.
Oh my.
One for each ear, right?
One for each ear. Oh.
Okay.
Oofta. That's what we say in Minnesota.
We'll put the link in the description of the thing.
Yeah, we will. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, go to that link if you want to get behind the scenes, but yeah. Hashtag this is, we're not actually selling anything, but
Yeah, there's nothing. They're just gonna click onto my LinkedIn and be like, I don't see any of this exclusive content. I just see pictures of John and posts about things and stuff.
yeah. But anyway,
Some thoughts today, huh?
yeah, lots of thoughts today. Honestly, like when it comes, I'm just kind of almost reflecting on like how I like, that was almost like my first moment of growing professionally, was saving up to buy the Lego set.
Yeah.
Like I'm like going back in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, that's when I went from being like a complete child to being a little kid.
Yeah.
You know, like
The first promotion of life.
yeah, that was that was when I went from being a little boy to being a big boy.
Yeah. Masculine initiation right there.
Yeah.
I mean, a baby step of it.
Yeah, it's like I could have made like excuses and been like, no, it's way better to buy candy instead of saving money for this awesome Lego set. And the thing is, building that thing was amazing, dude. like normally like small Lego sets, like the $10 or $15 ones at the time, you could probably build one of those in like 30 minutes and then you're like done. And then you can play around with it a little bit. But this thing took us like hours to build. It was like more, and like if we messed up, we had to like backtrack and be like, what do we do wrong? We gotta fix it. So it's just like, it was way more adventure of building it.
Actually have to read the instructions to finish this one.
Yeah.
Kind of a Lego
Not just
set.
be like, you can see all the parts when it's all done.
Oh.
You know, like you actually have to like put it together correctly.
Yeah. That's so good.
But like, I sometimes think about like, what if I hadn't done that? Like, how differently would I picture things today of like money, and like, would I've just spent my money a lot more and have no savings right now, or, and I think it will also taught me like delayed gratification. So I think it's really important to, I think, have that more of like that time, between like now and like the thing that you want, and like the longer you can make that time, I think almost the better. Because like if I wanted that Lego set, like, oh, I'm gonna start saving for this and I'm gonna get it like tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's like it wasn't gonna happen.
Wow.
Like I actually had to like go do stuff. Like I did extra chores. I like at one point dropped off like phone books, whatever the heck those are. Like,
Right.
We don't remember what those are. Like
Dude, that was like a booster seat back when I was eating at dinner.
Yeah,
we sat on phone books back
yeah.
then, dude.
Yeah.
Wrapping some duct tape and boom, that was my booster seat.
Now phone books are just like something that you set on fire for kindling because it's what's in them is useless. But like I remember, I think I was like helping set out like phone books, and I got like, I don't know, like that was like I got like the last $8 or something like that so I could afford the Lego set, and I was like so pumped. I was like, yes. And it's like I could have complained about like, oh, it's kind of rainy and I have to like put these like phone books in front of people's doors and stuff, which I didn't really understand any of the reason why we had to do that. I just know, hey, I was going to make some money at the end of this.
Right.
And I could be like, I'm only making $8 from putting all these phone books out. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like probably like 10
Yeah.
or something like that. Like I might even been younger than 10. I don't know. But I could have complained and like made excuses for like, oh, this just sucks. Like it's in the rain. Why do I have to lug around these heavy like phone books? These things probably weigh like 15 pounds each. Like
Right.
And for like a 8-10-year-old, whatever, that's kind of heavy. But really what I was like, dude, at the end of this, I'm gonna make enough money and I can buy that Lego set.
Keeping you motivated.
Yeah, so I was like
game.
focused on the goal, and I was just like excited to help out and stuff because yeah, because I think my mom was like, I don't really understand what was going on at the time, but like my mom was kind of doing the thing to make a little extra money, I think, and so she'd like drag the kids along with us.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, we'll give you some money for helping out. And I was just like, I can get the Lego set. Yes. It's just like, as a child, it's like, let's go.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
Starting to think bigger in your life there.
I'm like starting to feel like, I'm like, what if that was a little bit of groundwork? I kind of got lost in the middle there, but I came back around to it.
Yeah. Right.
Don't
we all?
Yeah, for sure.
When did you start taking your life seriously?
What does it mean to take your life seriously? I guess that's kind of like the thing that you gotta know. Cause like I could have said like, oh, I started taking my life seriously like all the time because I just wanted to have fun and I just figured out how to have fun in different ways. But like,
Right.
I don't really think that would be taking your life seriously. Cause like I think when most people think of taking their life seriously, it's like, okay, are you actually like gonna go after something instead of just like,
I'm kind of just thinking like, when did you start to like make the switch from I'm just gonna kind of do things for me and for fun to like actively trying to create a better future for you and for your future family? So like, I guess how many years have you really been like, I'm gonna become a better man, I'm gonna become a dangerous man, I'm gonna lock into this mission and this growth? Like, when did you feel like that started for you?
Bro, like, I mean, we've talked about it on the podcast some. It's kind of like around when you and me like went and got like waited overnight to get graphics cards with
Yes.
Danny Jingdahl, who's been on the podcast before. And then we listened to Be Obsessed or Be Average by Grant Cardone. That was like the thing that like was like the trigger for both of us.
That book. Yeah.
So I think that's when like there was like a switch that mentally happened there. But like I think I needed a little bit more encouragement from like you and Danny. And then like I don't know if I really started taking it seriously. Like I think I started learning that I should take it seriously then, but I didn't really start.
Wake up call.
Yeah, it was like kind of like that was the wake up call, but I don't know if I really started actually taking it seriously and going after it until like probably like that March when I started doing like sales stuff.
Right.
So I mean it's March now. So gosh, what year was
March
that?
2021 was it?
I think 2021 was when
2022.
It must have been 2022. So
yeah, it would have been.
So
March
about
2022.
About 2 years.
Wow.
Actually, like pretty close to exactly 2 years.
Yeah.
So
maybe like a week or two from now.
Yeah.
Is when you,
which
like mid-March
is kind of crazy to think about because I feel like if it's been way longer than like so much has happened in the past 2 years. That like I think the last 2 years of my life has probably seemed longer than like the 2 years before that. And then like I guess the time I did missionary work, which was like I guess I don't know, because like the time I did missionary work felt like a very long time as well. But the last 2 years definitely felt longer than the 2 years after high school, where I just like worked and like played video games, and that was like my life.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think like it's, dude, I'm just.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk more about it too, but
I'm blown away with
it's just kind of crazy. Like,
yeah,
that's like something that I want to talk about on this show. Is we'll get into it in a little bit, but we'll come back to like the start time and something I want to think about more. But
yeah, dude, that's just like crazy. Anyway, I've been reading a lot of books because I'm still on 75 hard and whatnot.
Oh yeah,
just doing going crazy with it and really taking my life seriously with 75 hard. I think like 75 hard almost kind of like helped me like bump it up a little bit. But one of the books I've been reading, and that is The Magic of Thinking Big by David J. Schwartz, PhD.
Oh,
Dr. Dave Schwartz. I don't know.
Schwarzenegger.
I mean, Schwarzenegger, like I don't know if that's the greatest nickname for him, but like I gotta figure.
Maybe I'm trying to get a nickname because we do that sometimes.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we do that with everybody. That we have what's a good one? Dr. DJ. Dr. Dave. I like Dr. Dave.
Dr. Dave. That's
Dr.
good.
Dave Schwartz.
Dr. Dave.
But you gotta say it like that. Dr. Dave.
Dr. Dave.
Doctor.
Hey mate, how you doing, Dr. Dave?
Doctor.
It's like a bad Australian accent,
Bad Australian accent, yeah. Oh.
It's like the hick Australian. It's not like it's not like out in the outback there. It's like Dr. Dave. It's like
Doctor. Yeah, it's like they're from the bush or whatever.
It's like, did you grow up in a cave? Like Dr. Dave.
I grew up. I can't even do an Australian accent right now. I grew up in boxing with the kangaroos, and then they tried to chase me to the crevasses.
The crevasses. Dude, all of our Australian listeners right now are going to be like so cringed out.
Yeah, but we appreciate you guys, everyone who listens.
Thanks for listening
Australia.
from Australia. Shout out.
Yeah. Anyway, but
Dr. Dave.
Dr. Dave. What he talks about is he has a whole chapter of The Magic of Thinking Big, which is all about changing the way you're thinking, which you could have inferred from the title. Is cure yourself from excusitis, the failure disease. So excusitis is excuses and itis. So it's like an excuse disease. Yeah.
Right. Because when you add itis to something, it becomes disease.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm tracking.
Just like,
Excuse-itis.
Like swole-itis is like when you have the disease of being too muscular.
Is that a disease? Wow.
Swole-itis, yeah.
What a terrible disease to have. Oh man. Too many muscles.
Yeah. I think I'm actually starting to come down with a case of it right now, but
how unfortunate, man.
But anyway,
keep going.
Anyway, basically he gives some examples of excusitis, and basically you're just letting excuses get in the way of accomplishing things. So some of the most common ones that he puts forth is intelligence excusitis. Like I'm not smart enough. Like that, those kind of excuses. Like health excusitis, like, oh, I'm just not very healthy. Like, oh, my heart's bad. Oh, like, oh, I'm sick, so I can't go do the thing. And he also has age excusitis, which is the one I kind of want to touch on because this one has a lot to do with like time. But basically, he was going into it and it's like, well, and he's like trying to figure out a way to kind of cure this to like kind of make it make sense for people.
Let's hear it.
So he says, "This is Dr. Dave."
Dr. Dave
Schwartz
from his book,
The Magic of Thinking Big, real big,
thinking big,
big brain. Anyway, Dr. Dave says, finally, I discovered a method that worked. One day after a training session, I tried it on Cecile. Cecile's a dude, by the way.
Nice.
I said, Cecile, when does a man's productive life begin? He thought a couple of seconds and answered, oh, when he's about 20, I guess. Okay, I said. Now, when does a man's productive life end? Cecile answered, well, if he stays in good shape and likes his work, I guess a man is still pretty useful when he's 70 or so. All right, I said. And a lot of folks are highly productive after they reach 70, but let's agree with what you've just said. A man's productive years stretch from 20 to 70. That's 50 years in between, or half a century, Cecile, I said. You're 40. How many years of productive life have you spent? 20, he answered. And how many do you have left? 30, he replied. In other words, Cecile, you haven't even reached the halfway point. You've used up only 40% of your productive years. I looked at Cecile and he realized he'd gotten the point. He was cured of age excusitis. Cecile saw that he still had many opportunity-filled years left. He switched from thinking, I'm already old, to I'm still young. Cecile now realized that how old we are is not important. It's one's attitude towards age that makes it a blessing or a barricade. Curing yourself from age excusitis often opens up doors and opportunities that you thought were locked tight.
Wow. Come on, dude. Dang, that's nuts.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, gosh, it gets me thinking about a lot of things, to be honest. I'm trying to kind of grab one, but it's like, in this guy's case, it's like, dude, how much has he learned? How old was he again? 40? No. What's the guy's age in that?
40, yeah.
40, yeah. So he's 20 years in, and he has another 30 years. So it's like more than half. He's not even halfway through his productive years. And it's like, bro, like, how much of, that's why I kind of asked, like, when did you start taking life seriously? Because I was thinking about this little blip from this book of like, dude, like,
we do have a little bit of a preamble that goes on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you want that preamble, you can pay the one-time fee of $300 a month.
The one-time fee of $300 a month. You know,
anyway,
every month, one time. Oh my gosh.
Hashtag not an ad.
Yeah. It's just like, anyways, where was I going with that? Yeah, he has 20 years in, and he still has freaking 30 years of his product. It just makes me think of like, gosh, like I started taking my life seriously like in about October of the year 2021, and it's 2024 right now. So it's like 2.5 years basically is when I really, like you said, we were listening to that Grant Cardone book on the road on the way back home from getting graphics cards with Danny. And it's like, what have I, you know what I mean? I can see the progress. I can look back 2.5 years and see how many books I've read. I mean, I read 8 books in the first 2 months of that period, but I've like read so many more books. I have like a whole library in my room, and I haven't read them all, but like these are books that I like have on my like read list, and I can just pull them off the shelf. And it's just like going after mindset, going after like, you know what I mean? Like in those couple years, you know, you can think of what you've done, Adam. I mean, you've gone and done door-to-door sales, and it's like, I mean, gosh, I did a stint doing that. You know, I've just done so many different things here. Went and tried to start a business, got into like a lot of marketing, like learned all these skill sets that
learned
never
like doing sales funnels, like doing.
Yep. I did a paid ads job where I learned how to do paid ads on Google and Facebook, and like, you know what I mean? So it's like these skill sets that I've like learned so much about public speaking, how to communicate better. And like, interpersonal. It's just like I'm a different person than I was 2.5 years
Mhm.
ago, and it's been 2.5 freaking years.
I mean, all the episodes of this podcast we've released in that time too.
exactly. It's like, we started a podcast.
Mhm.
We started improving and documenting our journeys to become better men, and like I started up wanting to help guys, and you know what I mean. Like we've literally like found a purpose in life and just started going after it. Started Dangerous Men's Club, and and a lot of these things haven't come to fruition yet. They're still young and early, but it's like,
Mhm.
gosh, that's a lot I've done in 2.5 years. Is I guess what I'm trying to say. Like getting into the gym, like even like training for a marathon, and which I didn't get to do because they canceled it. But
The morning of.
the morning of, because it was 85 degrees.
Was it only 85?
And I think I got yeah. But
Was it really only 85?
that's too hot for a marathon.
I thought it was like 90 something, but okay.
It might have gotten to 90. So it's just like, anyways.
This is a
I don't wanna get too
marathon in Minnesota, so like
yeah. In
like-
October. It was a fluke. It literally should have been like 50 degrees.
yeah, it is just
Is unreal. Or like 60
they should
degrees.
have canceled it earlier.
Yeah, so that
I don't
kind of
know.
stunk. But anyways, I don't want to get caught into that. But it's like,
Yeah.
okay, all these
is what it is.
goals I've set, all these things, it's like I've made the shift into wanting to actively create a better future for myself and for my future family.
Yeah.
And I'm in that, and I'm living that. I'm going after that.
Mhm.
And so it's interesting to hear this guy is like 40 and he's 20 years in. I'm like holy shit, like where am I gonna
That's
be?
that's like 10 times as much as we've done.
Yeah, assuming he's like really investing and being productive, but it's like as a man, which like he very well probably was, but like shit, dude, like that's another 18 years, like, or so till I'm at that point, and then I
Mhm.
still have more than double that left.
Yeah.
Like, and how easy is it for me to be like, oh my gosh, I don't look bigger muscles since yesterday. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Like, why does that have to matter?
Yeah.
Like, I just think it's like so easy to think so small and get discouraged. But in reality, I have so much time to input and make deposits in the bank of like my greatness,
Yeah.
and how easy it is to be like, I didn't see this result, and so I'm just gonna be discouraged and quit.
Yeah, like
And that is something I want to get into today. But this is like so good, dude.
cuz like I mean, I've gotten more muscular over the past, 7 months. I've been like consistently in the gym
Mhm.
for like the past 7 months, which seems like a long time, but isn't really that long of time. Like I'm excited for when I'm like a year, 2 years into it, because I'm going to be freaking huge.
Yeah, especially with this bulk coming up you're
Yeah,
gonna do.
I'm really going to have the swolitis, man.
Exactly.
Like if I was like, oh, let me go work out for like a week and see what happens. It's like, no, like literally I wouldn't have seen any like improvement.
Dang.
I like, and when I started going to the gym, like I had been like doing at home workouts a little bit here and there, but when I decided to go to the gym, I'm like, I'm like going after it. Cause I'm like, I'm not here to just like mess around. I'm here to like freaking win.
Yeah.
So like right off the bat, I'm like, all right, I'm going to the gym 6 days a week.
Yeah.
And I just like committed right off the bat, which I think helped a lot. Cause I'm like, I am a guy who goes to the gym.
Yep, that self-talk.
Yeah. It also helped that I wasn't playing video games anymore. So like, like going to the gym and playing video games are like the same thing. So in my brain.
Only one of them makes you jacked.
One of them makes you jacked in real life. Yeah. That's kind of like I could draw like so many comparisons between video games and working out. It's like,
Yeah.
like when you play video games, you want like the dopamine of like winning and like having something successful, and like, oh, if you're playing like a game where you like level up and stuff, you want to like hit those like leveling up and whatnot.
Yep.
But the thing is, when you turn the video game off, you don't have any of that unless someone actually plays that game. They're not going to get like, no one's going to get impressed by the fact that you have 99 strength in RuneScape
Right.
unless they play RuneScape,
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like everyone kind of gets impressed if you're jacked,
Right.
if you have that swolitis.
Yeah, I mean, one of them exists in reality, in your body and in life, in the physical realm. The other one is like this digital, land of make believe that like, sure,
Uh-huh.
maybe you're. I don't want to get down that road too much, but you get the idea.
But you get like dopamine and stuff from like
Right.
playing video games because you're like, oh, I just like beat this match or whatever.
Yeah.
But when you're working out, you get the pump when you're working out, when you go hard, you
Right.
get the pump and you feel amazing. So you're like, I'm freaking huge, man. Let's go. If I keep coming to this, like, this pump is just gonna be where I'm at normally.
Yeah.
Which, like, I can say that because where I'm at now is where my pump used to be. Actually, I'm bigger than where my
You
pump
are
used to
bigger.
be.
Yeah. It's just resting.
so-
without that still.
And so like now that I've like actually put in the time, I can actually see that and be like, whoa, I actually did get bigger. Wow, this is actually like
Yes.
pretty cool. And I'm not like massive yet, but I'm gonna be.
Yeah.
I'm really gonna have
gonna
a severe case of that swolitis. I keep coming back to that.
Bro, I love that you just know where you're going. You're moving in that direction, dude. Let's go.
Yeah, but
Let's freaking go.
like, so it's like a good switch there. But like, if I had given up early, like I wouldn't have seen results. Like, and it's like I had to get in the gym and then I had to like dial in my protein intake and how much food I was eating. I was drinking like 12 eggs a day. Still am drinking 12 eggs a day. Some people like to call it the Gaston diet. Because from
I'm making a weird face. I don't get it.
okay, John's like, huh?
Oh, with a what?
Like what? So Gaston from Beauty and the Beast, he's saying there's like the little thing. He was like, I eat like 3 dozen eggs to keep me large or something like I don't know. It's not, yeah, I don't know. Have you seen Beauty and the Beast? Yeah,
That
I
guy.
don't know. He's kind of like the villain kind of guy, but he's buff and talks about eating eggs. So some people have joked that like drinking 12 eggs a day is a Gaston diet. Anyway, but
That's pretty funny, actually.
So now that I've explained the joke,
Oh, okay, yeah,
it's
good
funny,
one, man.
swolitis. Anyway,
man.
but like I had to increase my input in order to actually like see myself get bigger, right?
Yes.
Like if I didn't actually
Yes.
like, if I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna work out sometimes, then I wouldn't have seen as much growth. I wouldn't have actually like seen it happen and been like, wow, I'm actually like seeing my body grow and actually like, because I think seeing like working out as much as I did, I was actually like, I saw like it didn't take 7 months for me to see growth.
Right.
Now I'm 7
right.
months in, but it really took me like only a few months to start seeing like differences.
Oh, yeah.
Because like your like quote unquote like newbie gains when you start out are like pretty big. So
Yep.
like it's sometimes it can be closer than you think, but you have to put in that extra effort in order to actually like get there and be consistent with it.
Yeah.
But like I've now
And
learned that.
There's a couple things there. Like, I want to talk about this equation that helps you get there. I also want to talk about that excuse-itis. Like,
Mhm.
maybe we can go into that. Like, what are some of the excuses that you have come into contact with from, you know what I mean, just along the journey that
Mhm.
maybe you deal with now, maybe you don't. Like, what are some of the common excuses? I don't. Maybe he talks about in the book.
Yeah, dude, like the thing is like with a lot of the different excuses, people will say like, oh, you know, it's not a good time. I'm not smart enough. Like he has a main one that's called intelligence excuse-itis.
Oh yeah,
And
Yes, this one. This one's nuts, actually.
yeah, and he basically is like for like people would say like, oh well, that guy's like way smarter than me, so I can never do what he did because he's just on a different level. And basically Dr. David Schwartz
Oh yes,
um,
Dr. Dave.
goes into like ways to like hear this, and it's like, we'll never underestimate your own intelligence, which means you're smarter than you think you are, and never overestimate the intelligence of others. They might be smart, but they're not like, they don't have like 8 brains, you know, like
Right.
like they might have a big brain, but their brain isn't actually bigger than yours, you know?
Yeah.
And don't sell yourself short. Concentrate on your assets. But this is a huge one, is remind yourself several times daily, my attitudes are more important than my intelligence.
Wow. Wow.
Because if you think about it, like
This one's huge.
there could be someone who's like really, really intelligent, but they're really negative and be like, no, this is stupid. Why would I do that? And they end up not like making anything. Whereas there could be like someone who's like just a little like little smooth brain, little small smooth brain, and not little Riri, you know, like not all there, but they can have a really good attitude, like let's do this, we got this, and then they just keep doing it, and they actually like, you know, build something because they just kind of kept at it, even though they didn't necessarily what they're doing, they just like failed and figured it out and
totally
whatever.
And I want to say something about that too. It's also like really common to be like to get discouraged by like, wow, like that person is, you know, like gosh, I'm trying to think like, you know, hanging out with somebody who's higher status, higher, you know, they're more advanced. Like it's easy. Like I saw this guy on LinkedIn the other day, and it's easy to see like all these things, these businesses he's done in his resume. You know, he had done all kinds of different digital marketing and like drop shipping and stuff pretty successfully. And, you know, a really awesome Christian guy. And I'm like looking at this guy, I'm like, dang, like, yeah, like he's done all these things, and it's like, wow, I want to like meet him and get around him, and you know what I mean? That kind of a thing, which is good. But it's like, it can be easy to like, we were talking about the last podcast about comparison of like, oh my gosh, like this guy just knows so much, like, holy cow. Like, I really want to hammer this one down. Like, it's easy to look at somebody and compare and go, wow, they know so much and they're so smart. And like, gosh, I want to learn that. And like, oh, that's so cool. Like, I want to hear all about that. And like, even talking to really smart people, I'm like, wow, this is so good. I just feel like I need to understand all of it, but I can't. It's a lot. And like, this person's so cool. And it's like, dang, like, it's easy to think that they're just so intelligent and that I'm so not. And it's like what you're saying. It's like, actually, like, what you need to realize is, well, it's going to get into this equation that we're going to talk about, but like, they've just put more inputs more consistently over more time. And now they know all of these things. We're going to get into that. So it's like, yeah, they're smart, but like they've learned this over a lot of years.
Yeah.
And you can't just like, you know what I mean? Like, so that's one thing. I want to break that down. But the second thing is like, this is a cool quote. It's like, you're saying what's more important than intelligence is attitude.
Yeah.
So it's like, I actually don't need to know as much as them. It's okay that like maybe they're more intelligent, quote unquote, but it's like my attitude is actually what's going to get me to grow.
Yeah.
I'm going to learn as a fruit.
Yeah.
Along the way, I'm going to be more intelligent, but that's not really like what is the need. That just kind of happens as you go through life and grow. You know what I mean? So like, I think that's the cool thing of, well, yeah. You want to say a couple things about that? And then.
Yeah. Like I was watching some like Alex Ramosi videos the other day, just cause I mean, dude's awesome. And he'll like, people ask him questions and he'll come up with like such good answers, like kind of on the spot.
Yeah.
And he'll be able to like say them very succinctly and not use like filler words. Like I use like and too much sometimes. When I listen back to the podcast, I'm like, oh gosh, sometimes.
Yeah.
And now I'm self-conscious. But like when I hear Alex like give those things and stuff, give those talks, answer those questions very succinctly, and I'm like, oh man, like he's so much better, like so much smarter than me. But it's also like, I need to realize, oh yeah, the guy did like training sessions with like multiple people where he had to speak daily.
Wow.
Like every day he was like public speaking over years. Yeah. So yeah, he would learn a lot of stuff over that time. So he's just put in way more years and much more time than I have.
Much more consistently too.
Yeah. And it's like his professional career has been like I've only really been taking my life seriously for about 2 years. And when I think about that, I'm like, oh, I've only been doing this for 2 years. Like, even going back to the age excusitis, like sometimes I'm like, man, I'm 25. I'm getting old. I'm halfway to 30. Like that's because it's like I'm halfway through my 20s.
Right.
And like getting rich when you're 20s is like the sexy thing, you know?
Right.
So I'm like, man, I need to be like successful in my 20s. I wasted half the time, you know? But like,
it's easy to think those thoughts.
It's easy to think those thoughts, but it's like actually vast majority of people are not successful in their 20s. Their 20s is when they like lay the groundwork for being successful.
Yes.
And understanding that's like, oh, I'm only 25. I have so much more time. Like I'm really realizing what I'm realizing now when I'm 25, or or like 24 or 23 and being like, wow, I can actually like do so much more. And I've done all this stuff in like these past 2 years. I've grown so much in 2 years. Like,
come on.
Oftentimes I think about my entire life. I was like, oh, I'm 25 and this is where I'm at. And I like to stretch out how much I've grown over the past 2 years as it be like my entire life. Of like, this is how much I've grown in 25 years. It's like, really, it's not. That's how much I've grown in 2 years.
A lot of this stuff, yeah.
It's like, I actually had a lot, like, you know, I had to learn how to freaking walk the first 2 years of my life. So, like, you know, that's like, yes, I had growth through my life, but like, I've started to take my life seriously.
Productive year-wise.
2 years. And it's been like 2 years. And with doing 75 hard, I'm on day 60 something.
Dang.
Now, gonna be done in less than 2 weeks. I almost like forget what day I'm on because I'm just like, at a certain point, I'm gonna be done and great. Because like I'm focused so much on like the daily things. But something that doing 75 hard has helped me understand is I can push myself a little bit harder and I can give a little bit more than I think I could.
Dang.
And like, that helps me be like, I am taking my life seriously because I'm doing these things and I'm capable of doing more than I thought I was.
Come on. Yes, dude. Yeah, I mean, one thing, picking right off that, I've been listening to a lot of Ed Milet, his podcast, kind of reading some of his stuff. And if you don't know who Ed Milet is, he is a wildly successful entrepreneur. He's kind of known as like the grandfather of some of the entrepreneurs right now. Like he's esteemed as kind of like big brother dad, like you're really kind of.
You're on a Ed Milet bender.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's who I've been really listening to because I've been trying to dive into mindset. And
if his podcasts are drinks, you're like just binge drinking.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've just decided like if I don't take new thoughts into my head, into my mind, I'm just circulating the ones I've already had. That's why I love reading, but it's also why I love listening to guys like Ed Milet who are like, that is the kind of way I want to be thinking. And I want to be having the kind of results and acting and with the kind of strength he has. So I'm going to let him basically tell me how I should actually be thinking. Yeah. And I'm going to start to become that because I just see how powerful and impactful that he is and how well. Anyways, I just see a lot of that. But one thing he talks about is like, realistically, it's not that there's a specific formula to becoming successful or great or better. Yeah. It per se. It's like there isn't like there's a formula, but there's not like this is exactly what you do and you do this and this and this. It's like, well, no, there's a lot of paths to becoming successful. But what he said is like, realistically, you kind of know the things you got to do to become better. You already know. It's just, are you the people that are actually successful? They're doing them consistently, and you're not. And he says, and they're working about 15 to 20% harder, or they're putting about 15 to 20% more effort, or they're working 15 to 20% faster than you are. It's not that they're full out sprinting and you're not. It's they're 15 to 20% a little faster than you. They're taking action on things sooner. They're reading and absorbing things a little quicker. They aren't delaying. They're a little bit faster, but it's like, it's easy in our brain to go, oh my gosh, I have to get like super swole in like 2 weeks or like in a month or like this year I have to just like, and we make it such we accordion this so into a tight pocket and we push ourselves so hard and we start, new diets and we start new this and that and like new work. And we're like, I have to change everything. We change everything. And then we just like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that is like a skill, like pushing yourself hard is a skill you can ramp into.
Yeah.
And Adam has some thoughts on that in a minute, but it's like, the reality is, I keep saying this, but it's like, this is what these top guys are saying. It's like, actually just show up every day. Do the things every day that you know you should be doing. Going to the gym, getting a good enough sleep, waking up early, reading like 5, 10, 20, whatever pages of a book, reading a book, like have a podcast of somebody's mindset you want to incorporate into yours, listening to them every day, a little bit, whatever it is, like actually working on building skills, actually working 15, 20% harder every day in your job and in personal excellence and in, you know, at the gym, it's like, okay, maybe don't like go straight to 7 sets of this like bench press per se. You know, Adam's going to do this, but he's preparing for this and easing into it. It's different. Like, don't just like load up like 5 plates on your, you know, leg press. Like, there's no need to like go that freaking hard, that freaking quickly when you haven't really even been doing it.
Yeah.
Just like do the things that others are doing, which is just might be for you. Like for me, this is like I'm getting back into the gym again and really starting to reset my foundation.
And when
there.
John says others, he means other successful people.
Yes. Modeling successful people always, not anybody. Modeling the people that are doing what you want to be doing. That's super key. But I'm not gonna get into that. So it really becomes this math equation of it's not so many people get so outcome focused, and this is what Ed Milet talks about a lot. And I just wanted to mention it because it's important. Like having a goal, totally. Buying that Lego set that you wanted, 100%. You know, getting the kind of like bulk that you want in the gym, great goal. But it's like if you go to the gym and you come out and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not like that big yet. It's like this is the formula of success that successful people use. Inputs times years equals goals, outputs. It's simple. Inputs times years equals outputs. And I think sometimes we're like some inputs sometimes times days and weeks. And then is the outcome to my goal yet? Oh, it's not. Oh, no, I'm not doing well. I'm not growing. And it's like, dude, like let's switch our mind. Remember, like we have till we're freaking 70. So it's like,
we're gonna be a lot later than 70 though.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Dude, I'm probably gonna be productive until I'm like 90 plus.
Yeah, if you keep moving and doing things. I just want to set this precedent that like if we like Adam's been 7 months into this workout stuff, and he's not like, oh, this is like a couple day thing, and then if I don't see results, I'm out. It's like, nope. He's focusing on just inputs, and naturally, the multiplier is years over time. If he just keeps putting in inputs over time, it will naturally output to the outcomes he wants. Does that make sense? And so it's just focusing on, let me just push 15 to 20% harder, and let's just be consistent every day, doing these things every day. Over years, you're going to see massive improvements just by doing the gym. You know, we talked about this. Just by going to the gym, you're bound to like learn a ton. Like, because we were talking about this in the kitchen earlier, Adam, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this intelligence excuse.
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh, he knows so much about technique and he knows all these things about fitness, and I have no idea about it. It's like, dude, Adam, tell your story about this, like how you've been learning and be more smart with technique and over, you know, we were talking about this earlier.
Yeah, like,
I think that's a really powerful story.
At the beginning of me working out, I was watching a lot of videos because I just didn't really know what I was doing. Like I'd worked out a little bit, but I'm like, I don't know. I just pick up the heavy thing and then put it down again. I don't like, I
lift weight.
I you know, stress my muscles in some way. I don't like,
yeah.
And like, it's like on like the machines or whatever, it kind of like has the thing, but like, I'd like try and do like, I don't know, I'll use the example of like lat pull downs where you're just like pulling a bar on a cable down to like your chest.
Yeah.
And you're using, for those who don't work out yet, because hopefully all of you are listening that will, if you have not worked out yet, you will start to work out because it's amazing and beneficial in like every way. I know I've been doing it consistently for 7 months and seeing results, and I'm going to keep doing it. It's great.
Come on.
But your lats are muscles that are on your back. And the thing is, when you first start working out, like I didn't realize I have those muscles. Like, like I haven't, I was like, I could pull things, but I don't actually feel that muscle, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
like,
you wouldn't know it was the body or how it felt.
Like when I started doing lat pull downs, I was like, what am I, like, I know I'm supposed to move the bar from here to here, but what am I actually like, what muscle am I using and what am I supposed to be feeling? And like, how do I know if I'm working it properly? And like when I first started, I was like hunching over because I was just trying to move the bar from one place to the other. And then I eventually figured out, oh wait, actually, no, I'm supposed to like, you know, push my chest into it a little bit to make sure I'm actually like engaging my lats. And the thing is that I had to do that a bunch so that I actually like built up my lat muscles so I can actually like feel them instead of just being like, I'm moving the bar, but I don't know, like, so.
Totally.
And the thing is I think a question that can come up when you think about inputs is like, how do I know if I'm doing the right inputs? And that's why it's important to have like these successful people who can model it for you. Because then you just go, well, that guy did that and did that. So obviously these are like the important things because those are the things that he did in order to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll like, you can see other people that have done it and figure out what their inputs are, not look at their outputs. Like obviously you want their outputs. Like you want to, be worth $100 million and like drive Ferraris and Lamborghinis and stuff. Like great.
Totally.
But if you just focus on like, I need to drive a Lamborghini. Like if you're just focused on that, you're going to go rent a Lamborghini and then like take a picture with it. And then that's it. And then whatever. Like if your whole goal is to drive a Lamborghini, like you can make that happen pretty easily. But really like when you think about like you want to be that level of person that like owns the Lamborghini or owns the Ferrari, you really have to build up a huge thing behind that. And that takes a lot of inputs.
Yes.
So like
define inputs real quick. I think we're getting the idea.
It's actually like taking the actions that drive you towards your goal.
Yeah.
Like if you're trying to get like jacked and muscular and in shape, the input is working out, actually doing exercises, going to the gym. And obviously like over time you can like learn from the people who have done it and actually figure out how to make it more efficient.
Yes.
But like at the beginning, I'm just like going in and moving stuff. Like I don't know the super efficient way, but I've committed to actually showing up and taking the action.
And that's where like it's an attitude thing.
Yeah.
You have an attitude that you're going to start doing this and you're going to move towards, you're going to do the inputs and just start moving towards the direction you want to go.
Yeah.
And along the way, it's like, you know what I mean? You were like, man, how do I do this exercise? Look up a video, learn. There, a little bit of intelligence boost. You're like, you told me earlier, like, oh, like my shoulder started hurting. So I looked up, gosh, what's happening with my shoulder? Boom, you learned a little bit. And now your intelligence goes up. So it's like over time, very organically, things are going to come up that you're going to like, let me open a book to read and learn about this. Let me look up a video. The intelligence growth happens very organically just because you're kind of like, I'm curious. So let me learn a little. Oh, I need to know more about that because I don't know what I'm doing. You learn a little. And over like 7 months, you're like, wow, I kind of know what I'm doing to some capacity in a lot of these things. And so when it's easy, that intelligence excuse, oh, they're just so much more intelligent than me. They know how to do all this. They definitely did not. But they also did not learn that in 2 weeks. And I'm sure you could binge a lot and learn a lot in a little bit. That's not what I'm saying. But I think we all think that it has to be like 200% effort in like 3 weeks. And like we have to just like massively change our life right away. And it's like, this is a 15 to 20% boost in your effort.
Yeah.
And over time, you're going to become more intelligent. So it's like that excuse really is false belief. It's like these people didn't learn it like that. They learned it organically in time. I just wanted to say that again, because if that's holding you back, just work on your attitude. Like you know what I mean? This has like been really powerful for me to do.
And I think like some people are like, oh, I'm going to go super hard because I'm going to like change my life and I'm going to like, do like 3 times as much stuff as I'm going to increase by like 300%. And it's like, well, yeah, maybe there are some people that can probably like go hard and increase their productivity by 200% for a period of time, but they're going like absolute hard mode in that time. But like that's also a skill to be able to like push yourself really, really hard. Because the thing is, if you haven't pushed yourself to go like twice as productive as you are now, like you don't really know what it takes to do that. So it's good. It's like, but I think 15-20% extra is like pretty manageable. Like,
oh yeah,
that's something I realized with doing 75 hard is 15 to 20%. I don't think is actually that hard. Like we could do the math on this. Like how many hours of potential productivity do you think you could have in a day?
Like legit productivity?
Yeah.
I'd say easily at least 6.
At least 6
really
hours.
Focused time.
Of really focused time. So you're like, I feel like you're kind of lowballing.
I am kind of lowballing.
But like say so
with breaks and everything, it's probably ended up being 6 hours.
6 hours, right?
But I'm bumping that up every day, just so you know.
Yeah, bumping that up every day. Let's go with like say it's so 6 hours. That's if you I'm going to use rough math here because I don't feel like thinking that hard.
Yeah.
So like 6 hours, like 15% would be, well, if you did 15%, that'd be like kind of an hour, but it'd be like, that'd only get you to 90%. What's the math on that?
15 times 6.
What would 15?
About an hour. About an hour.
An hour. So say like, okay, just for reference, you have 6 hours of productivity a day. How hard would it be for you to just increase that to 7 hours?
Right.
Like trying to think about,
Well,
okay, what would I have to do in order to, increase that productivity to 7 hours?
I would probably need to like plan how I was going to like be efficient so that I could get in a whole other hour and not just waste my time.
Yeah. But also it's like,
So like a little planning maybe.
Yeah. In like, it might be the question of like, how do I know if it's productive or not? Well, are you doing the actions that are the inputs for your goals? So if one of my goals is to, get swolitis and get jacked.
Yep.
Am I working out? That's productive time.
Am I doing the productive inputs?
Yeah. If my goal is to change my mindset so that I have more of a like success and wealth and like prosperity mindset rather than a broke
Faith.
weak mindset, and like change my mindset, am I like doing something? Am I like reading a book
to help learn and transition to that mindset?
Yeah, like reading The Magic of Thinking Big, or another book that helps me to change my mindset. Am I like listening to like podcasts to change my mindset to
like The Dangerous Man?
Yeah, like The Dangerous Man. Hashtag not an ad. To actually like change my mind. If my goal is to like get better at sales, am I like studying sales books? Am I actually like
making calls?
Am I doing the sales work?
Working a job that involves sales?
Yeah. If I'm trying to increase my like interpersonal communication skills, am I actually having conversations every day?
Yeah.
And am I having conversations that might be kind of awkward or might be kind of hard for me to have?
Right. Outside of my comfort zone a bit still.
Like conversations that are still outside of my comfort zone.
15 to 20% outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Or even like the amount of time that you're spending doing it, increasing that.
Yep.
Because like, if you think about it, like, okay, 75 hard, before 75 hard, I was doing like one workout a day for 6 days a week. The 75 hard, now I have to do 2 workouts every day.
Yeah. So
adding that extra like 45 minutes, because they have to be 45-minute workouts at least. And I'm in the gym for usually like an hour and a half, but that counts for one of them.
I see what you mean.
So to actually put in that extra 45 minutes, I mean, if you're going by like productive time every day, that's bump like that extra 45 minutes. I mean, if we're going by 6 to 7 hours, or even just trying to increase it by like an hour of productivity, which that's a pretty good measurement. Because sometimes like, what's 15 to 20%? Well, if you just try to think about that as an hour more of productivity a day than what you're currently doing.
Yeah.
Like over an extended period of time, that's going to make a huge difference.
Come on. Right.
Because like with that, and with 75 hard, like, okay, I've added in more reading. I've added in, more work, like another workout, and doing those things like that time, those two things definitely take up more than like an hour. But like before, I just wasn't using that time. So I realized I have
there
this
wasn't
time.
even an hour in your day.
Yeah.
Doing that.
This time is already going by. This time I already have.
Yes. Wow.
And before it was just unproductive time.
Unproductive. Yep.
Yeah. And you might be watching like, I don't know, TV shows or playing video
YouTube
games
videos
or doom scrolling on social media or something like that. It's like, how do you do an hour less of the stuff that's not productive, not going after your goals, and just kind of meh, which is generally, I think for most people,
that's what you're saying, going from the 6 to 7 hours.
Yeah.
Adding that extra hour of productivity in.
Yeah. And I think this is a pretty honest measure, because like some people are like, oh, well, you work for 8 hours, but it's like, do you really work for all 8 hours? I mean, come on now.
Right.
I think most people would, like, if they were really honest, would probably say no.
I'm saying like we work for 8 hours, but productivity wise.
Yeah. Productivity wise. Yeah.
And maybe even less for some people. That's fine.
Yeah.
Like just I'm trying to be realistic. You know?
But like, how do you?
The point is, it doesn't have to be nuts already. It can be pretty small.
Yeah, it's not like you have to be like, oh, I have to go from working 8 hours a day to working 15 hours a day.
Right.
You know, like it's like no, just like figure out how to have 1 extra hour of productivity.
Yeah.
You know, a power hour, if you will,
And
in the day.
Power hour. I like that. And it's like I would give the example of working out too. Like I think this is a very practical thing. If you're listening, you're getting so many ideas. Oh my gosh, I could do this. I could do this. You're right. You're right, John. I have been like, let me take all these areas and just like 300% all of them. And I think that can be kind of a cool experience. But like, I think when we want to kind of get into like, what's a good formula for long-term growth and sustainable growth, definitely we're pushing ourselves really freaking hard sometimes. I'm not saying you won't. I'm not saying you shouldn't. But it's also like, it isn't realistic for us to just go, every guy listening has to like overhaul every single freaking area tomorrow or today. And like, yes, change today. Yes, push yourself. But like, do this. Pick one thing. This is Adam's story, and I want to tell it because it's good. Take one thing, working out. I'm going to tell Adam's story. He picks working out. He says, I'm going to push myself 15 to 20% harder than I was. And maybe for the sake of this, it's like, I'm going to, I'm going to start going to the gym. Maybe that's like, first you just got to start.
Which, by the way, like, generally I feel like spending an hour in the gym is a pretty good benchmark of like how long you can spend in the gym.
Yep.
Like, so if you're going from like not working out or like maybe doing like 30 minutes every few days.
Assume you're already kind of doing a bit.
You're doing like
fitness.
Say you're doing like, I don't know, say you're doing half an hour, 45 minutes, 3-4 times a week.
Yeah. What would you increase that to? Like for you, I guess it was just going 6 days a week, right?
It'd just be going like 6 days a week, hour and a half.
Yep.
And that right there is probably going to be your critical input.
And so choose to make that adjustment. Maybe you're just consistent every day going to the gym, and that's like boom. Don't look at every single area of your life yet, but like this is what Adam does. One area, 7 months of consistency of input, and showing up, and maybe he gets to the gym and he's gonna push 15-20% harder than he would want to. Maybe just a little bit, just a bit of I'm gonna take this a bit more seriously, and what you're gonna find is Adam not only is like way bigger than he was, like Adam has a lot of muscles right now. I'm not gonna lie. He's getting a lot stronger and his faith is getting built a ton. Wouldn't you agree, Adam?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
I can get jacked. Wow.
Right. Yes. He's been reading. Yes. He's been doing other things too. But like that one thing is like, oh my gosh, this formula works.
Yeah.
Inputs, going a bit harder, doing what everybody knows they need to do, but just doing it consistent. Cause that's what great people do. You're actually gonna have faith and I wouldn't say motivation, but I'll say belief.
Yeah.
The belief that you can do this in other areas of life.
Yeah.
It's going to be way easier starting to read. It's going to be way easier getting onto a diet. So it's like, my point is this, like pick one input or one area that you want to start to improve and let your faith be built because here's the reality. The amount that I've grown in 2.5 years and what I know now, all these skills, things, marketing things, communication, all these skills and gifts I have that I've been, by the way, developing, putting deposits into that bank account to grow. Those are all with me for the next 2.5 years. But I'm going to grow even more skills in that 2.5 years. But I have all the skills I have already as a foundation.
So you're just going to stack them.
This is just a snowball. As you get it rolling, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Everything you've already learned and done in your life is only like going to actually help me to grow even faster for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
And so what you realize is like, you can get really freaking far in 20 years and you still have 30 years. This is the formula you start investing in, putting deposits into the way you want to live your life in every day and some consistency and not even overdoing it, just showing up at first. And as you get comfortable with that 15-20% harder, move it 15-20% more. You see how this works though? You build belief, you build confidence, you add another area. Maybe I start reading now and maybe it's like 5 pages a day. And you're reading 5 pages a day and 5 pages a day.
Well, let's be honest, you can do 10 pages a day.
You can. Yeah. And I would say do 75 hard and do it because you can do more than you think you can. But if 5 pages is what you can do, you'll get super comfortable with 5 pages after month, 2 months, 6 months. Mm-hmm. Bump it up 15 to 20%. It's like every month, bump it up a little. It's just like as you know what I mean?
And not necessarily in that category, but in the categories that make sense for your goals.
Yes. So what's one goal you want? If it's in fitness, maybe pick your goal. Maybe it's running a marathon. What inputs do you need to start doing for that? Just focus on that one. I will just share one last story with this. For me, in a time of deep depression a few years ago, like this was like 4 years ago, I had a hard time getting out of bed. I didn't know what to do with my life. I didn't know my purpose. I didn't just want to get up and work a job I hated. I literally just had nothing going for me, and I was super depressed. And what changed everything for me, listen to this, guys. What changed everything for me was I decided I was going to get into hiking. And I decided I was going to train, keyword, train, for a thru hike. I was going to go to northern Minnesota and do a 310-mile hike by myself. Took me 16 days by myself, around 20 miles a day hiking in the woods by myself. And I knew that I had to train, get into shape, get my knees. I had to get used to walking that far. I had to research getting shoes. I had to research gear. I had to train and grow and learn how to do that. And I embarked on that journey. And my brother drove me 5.5 hours up to Canada, dropped me off, hiked the first mile with me, said goodbye, drove 5 hours back. What a G. And I literally hiked to my car and then drove out of there, a victor. And that literally pulled me out of that season. And it literally gave me belief that I could do things in my life. And it was one thing. All I could focus on was I'm going to get up and I'm going to go hike. And I was not much more productive than that, but I was getting hikes in. And I was starting to do movement.
But that was your one goal.
That was my only input.
Yeah, that was your only input, but also your only goal at the time.
Yeah, that's all I had capacity for at the time. But that literally opened me up to go get graphics cards with Adam, listen to this book by Grant Cardone, and realize I wanted to push hard in a lot of areas. But I needed to have the faith of one thing that I knew I could do. And that is I always can come back to that and remember that. And I realize I can do great things. And as I get more comfortable and I push myself a little bit harder, I'm starting to grow in all these things. And now 2.5 years later, this is only going to snowball and continue to grow until I'm 70 or beyond. And so I just want to share that to build belief. If you're listening, we aren't giving these super sexy, stupid do this or do that, things that are hyped on Instagram. We are talking about the things that Ed Milet, Alex Hormozy, Grant Cardone talk about. And it's start putting in inputs on one channel, maybe it's hiking, maybe it's gym, to complete one goal. Maybe it's training for a marathon, and let that prove to you that you actually can do hard things and you can do things as a man, and let that launch you into the mission of this podcast to help others.
And we may not be as far along the path as these big guys like Ed Milet, Andy Frisella, Alex Hormozy, because they've been doing it longer than us. But what we do know is over the past 2 years, we've been able to see a lot of growth.
Yes.
And we can say from our personal experience that pushing harder, 15, 20%, it makes a difference because we've seen the difference.
We have seen the difference.
We've seen the difference. So that's something that we've proven in our lives.
Yep.
And I think it's just so huge to realize, this is growth. Because at the beginning of it, you're like, I want to be able to grow, but I don't know if I can. And the temptation is I want to be done tomorrow. Imagine if John was all right, I'm going to do a thru hike, and then just drove up there the next day.
It probably
would have failed, right? Mm-hmm. And now, obviously, pushing yourself to see what you're kind of made of is good. Pushing, a set of lifting weights to failure is good, so you know where that is, how far you can push yourself. So I'm not saying don't push yourself. Do push yourself.
Yes.
But don't realize you have to do 200% every day. It's just actually, because most of the time when you...
Or where someone else is.
Yeah.
Don't think you have to be where someone else is.
But it's more being consistently just a little bit better.
Yes.
And I think that 15, 20%, if you think about where your life is, there's probably something that you can restructure just a little bit to get that more.
That one thing every day, though.
It might just be, hey, I'm going to delete TikTok from my phone and not scroll on TikTok every day and read a book, and that will change your life.
It will. It will. And so I want to just leave guys on this last note of this question that I love asking young men or men of any age. And I want you to think about this. What are you doing right now? What are you doing to actively create a better future for you and your family? Or maybe it's your future family if you're single. And if the answer is, you know what, John, you know what, Adam, I'm not taking my life seriously. I'm actually not really actively doing a whole lot. Then pick that one input and prove to yourself that you can do it. And just let that start to snowball, because believe me, you get that snowball rolling and you're going to get momentum. And you always have, Adam and I, you always have this podcast. You have this group of men in Dangerous Men's Club rooting for you. And we hope you join this movement, and we can do this together. That's the whole point. We want to do this together. That's the word. And so we'd love to hear your stories. We'd love to hear what you pick. We'd love to just get a shout on what you're going to do. And we'd love to see where that is in 6 months, a year, 5 years. We'd love to hear those stories. And because I know there will be stories. And as Ed Milet likes to say this, and I'm just moved to say it right now, but you belong in your dreams. You were made to do something great with your life. And that's the truth. And this one thing that you could pick to grow in will launch you on a journey to that. It will. That's not it might. It will. Have confidence that you can start moving in a good direction. And you are only going to grow in your masculine journey to becoming a dangerous man. Share the show if you want to help other men embrace danger and become truly great. You've been listening to The Dangerous Man. Join us next time. Until then,
Claim your greatness
and stay dangerous.